Be me 41, senior back-end engineer, call me Nate. Been at the same business software company for like 11 years. Not some Silicon Valley unicorn, just a comfortable mid-size outfit that sells boring workflow tools to other boring companies. Pay is solid, benefits are decent, problems are hard enough to keep my brain awake for most of my career. The place ran on one beautiful rule: show up. Write clean code, hit deadlines, go home. No theatrical ambition, no office tribes, no fake family energy. I never wanted to become a VP or a thought leader, just wanted to solve technical problems and keep my mortgage paid for. A long time, that plan worked perfectly. Old director was a guy named Ron, used to be a programmer himself. Back when hard drives sounded like lawn equipment. His whole management philosophy was basically finish the work and leave me alone. If releases stayed on track and prod stayed stable, he did not care if someone wore sneakers and a faded concert hoodie team was tight. Few senior devs like me, few mid-level people who could be trusted with real work. Couple juniors worth investing in women on the team too, including Monica, best database person I have ever worked with. Nobody got treated like a symbol. Only currency that mattered was competence. Then Ron announced retirement. We threw him a send-off, bought him whiskey, listened to the usual jokes about never touching a laptop again. After that, everyone started wondering who corporate would put in charge. Most of us hoped they would promote from inside, maybe one of the senior leads who actually understood the systems. Instead, they hired. Sierra started near the beginning of summer. HR email introduced her as our new head of engineering, empowerment, and alignment. First time I saw that title. I already felt tired. Nobody in the department knew what empowerment and alignment were supposed to mean. First morning, she calls mandatory team session at 9 under Ron. Meetings were 15-minute stand-ups, quick blockers, quick status. Everybody back to work. Sierra's welcome meeting was in the big conference room with fruit trays, boutique coffee, and folded name cards. First red flag arrived before she did. She walks in smiling like she is hosting a wellness retreat, says, "Hi everyone, I'm Sierra," pronouns she and her, "and I am so excited to begin this journey with you all." Then she makes every person around the table say name, role, and pronouns. Room turns weird, instantly. Older infrastructure guys look like someone changed the language settings in real life. Carl from Systems just says, "I'm Carl, I keep the racks alive." Sierra gives him that polished school principal smile and asks, "And your pronouns?" Carl guy blinks twice and goes, Him meeting lasts almost 90 minutes. Not one word about deadlines, clients, releases, outages, staffing. Nothing real. Whole thing is vision, emotional safety, shared humanity, dismantling harmful patterns, leveraging perspective by the end of it. I already miss Ron. Next few weeks feel like watching a train wreck in slow motion. First casualty is the stand-up replaced by daily morning circles, where everybody has to share one professional win and one personal feeling. Half the men on the team mumble stuff, like fixed a caching issue, feeling okay. Sierra never lets that stand. Okay isn't emotionally specific. Trevor, can you go a little deeper? For us wanted to jump out a window by week 2 mornings, start vanishing into involuntary therapy theater output slips, because people are burning an hour before touching actual work. Then she gets budget to redecorate the whole department. Our plain gray office turns into some violent mix of turquoise and violet. Inspirational posters appear everywhere. Collaboration is courage. Your voice changes the room. One giant poster just says, "Elevate" over a photo of a woman laughing at salad. Monica and I keep making eye contact across the aisle like survivors in the same lifeboat. Real trouble starts when Sierra decides she belongs in technical decisions. Woman has 0 engineering background, resume, is all people operations, HR strategy, culture architecture, words invented to avoid saying no, real experience. None of that stops her from having opinions about everything. She starts sitting in planning sessions. We are discussing API load balancing, and she interrupts to ask whether the proposed structure is inclusive. Prodbox is dying during an outage, and she suggests a mindfulness pause, so nobody brings stressed energy into the conversation very quickly. It becomes obvious she does not see her job as helping us work. She sees her job as correcting us. Especially the men, every blunt sentence from a guy becomes aggression. Every critique becomes tearing someone down. Every clear explanation becomes mansplaining. Meanwhile, women on the team can do no wrong. She praises them for nonsense, amazing tone in that status update. Olivia, excellent energy in that calendar invite. Dana, insulting to us, patronizing to them. Then we hit the incident that made me stop trying. About 2 months into Sierra's reign, our database performance starts choking. System response time gets ugly. Client deadline close enough to taste. Everybody stressed. We hold a working session to fix it night before. I stayed late sketching a clean plan, identify the worst queries, add targeted indexes, move, read, heavy traffic onto a replica, boring fix, good fix, exactly the kind of thing senior people are for. I get up at the whiteboard and start mapping it out. First, we isolate the slow calls, then we add these indexes, then we redirect this chunk of reporting traffic over here. Halfway through, Sierra cuts in, "Nate, can I pause you for a second?" Room goes. "Still," she says. My tone feels very forceful, says we need a collaborative environment where everybody feels invited to contribute, says I am dominating the room, standing there with marker in my hand, like I'm explaining the fix. She says it sounds like I'm telling. Not exploring, says top-down communication can suppress diverse input, had no idea what to even do with. That wasn't being forceful, was being direct, because the database did not care about our feelings, sat back down, feeling like an idiot, room goes dead, nobody wants to talk after that. Then Monica clears her throat and says, maybe she can build on what I was getting at. Sierra lights up immediately. Yes, Monica, please. Monica goes to the board, wipes off a couple of lines, redraws them with prettier handwriting, then explains my exact solution, back to the room, same indexes, same replica, same order, only. Difference is, she wraps every sentence in soft language. Maybe we could look at the heavy queries first. Perhaps new indexing would help. I wonder if red redirection might be worth exploring, same plan, wearing a cardigan. Sierra practically starts clapping, says, now that is what collaborative engineering looks like. Credits the whole fix to Monica. I just sit there watching my own idea get translated into acceptable gender format. Monica catches my eye, afterward look on her face, says, sorry. And are you kidding me? At the same time. She knew, I knew, everybody knew in Sierra's universe an idea. From a man was intimidation. Same idea from a woman was brilliance after that. I mentally checked out. Still did my job, still wrote code, still fixed prod issues and hit deadlines. But I stopped volunteering in meetings, stopped suggesting improvements, stopped sticking my neck out in group settings. If somebody needed help, I helped quietly at their desk. But I was done performing expertise in public, just to get lectured. Bunch of other senior guys did the same thing, meetings turned into Sierra, and a couple favorites talking into a vacuum output got worse. She either didn't notice or didn't care. Her reports upward were apparently full of glowing updates about cultural progress. That nonsense dragged on for months, mood on the floor. Got grim people moved around like they were trying not to trigger motion. Censors, everyone just wanted to stay invisible long enough to keep their paycheck naturally. That meant things got worse. One Tuesday afternoon, we all get calendar invite for a mandatory department meeting at 4 o'clock. Subject line says, bold new initiative already bad. We file into the conference room. Sierra is standing by the projector, smiling like someone who has been waiting all year for this moment, opens with a speech about how proud she is of the inclusive environment we've built together. First slide is stock photo of ethnically balanced office people laughing at nothing. Then she says, real allies know the work is never done, says we have to challenge structures, expand opportunity, show intentional support. My spirit begins leaving through my ears. Then she announces her masterpiece, The Male Ally. Development and mentorship program, pause for applause. Room responds with pure silence. She clicks to next slide. Full of bullets, explains this is meant to correct historic imbalances in career development translation. Every male engineer is now required to mentor junior. Women, every new female employee will be assigned. A male mentor official purpose is to help them navigate the company, grow skills, and advance Sierra frames. It like we should all feel honored to donate ourselves. Then somebody asks how much time this brilliant idea requires. Sierra says, oh, not much, only minimum 2 hours a week. Also, it will happen on our own time, evenings, weekends, lunch breaks. Whatever works best for you and your mentee. Little wave of disbelief moves through the room, unpaid mandatory labor and personal time. Another guy asks if there will be a matching program where women mentor junior men. Sierra actually laughs, short, sharp laugh too. Says, why would we do that? Says men do not face the same barriers. Says this is about men stepping up and doing allyship work. She says it like we are slow children asking why rain falls down. Whole thing is breathtaking. Not mentorship, not support, just punishment, dressed up as virtue, forced free labor. Because we were born, male and corporate found a moral vocabulary for resentment. All I can think about is the whiteboard incident. Every time I got silenced, every time I watched rules bend one direction. Sierra finishes with huge triumphant smile, says she knows change can feel uncomfortable, but growth always does. Then pulls out a stack of pledge forms, says it's just a quick commitment, acknowledgement for HR. They start passing the clipboard around the table. I watch it move from person to person, can read the faces without even trying, anger, defeat, calculation, one by one. The guys sign because most people have rent and kids and not enough energy to become the designated problem. Clipboard keeps coming toward me. Heart is pounding, but not from fear. From that cold kind of anger that sits clean in your chest, thinking about all the late nights I already gave this company, all the weekends I spent, rescuing broken releases, all the times I helped junior people with zero fanfare because it was simply part of being decent. Now this woman is telling me I am morally defective unless I donate even more labor under her ideology. Paper lands in front of me, whole room goes quiet. Everybody watching Sierra at the front with that smug, calm face people wear when they think resistance is impossible. I pick up the pen, hover it over the line, set it back down. Slide the unsigned clipboard to the next guy room. Seems to inhale all at once. Sierra's smile. Drops like somebody cut a wire. Confusion first, then disbelief, then straight rage. She steps forward and says, Nate, I don't see your signature. Look up and tell her that's right. Asks if there is a problem. Say yes. I will not do mandatory unpaid work on my personal time. Cheeks go red instantly. She is not used to being told, no, says this isn't about work. It's about commitment to equity and inclusion. Asks if I am saying I don't share company values. Obvious trap moral framing. Public pressure. Classic move. Tell her I am saying I am not signing that paper. Do not take the bait. Then she detonates. Not a professional slipful mask. Off moment, starts shouting about arrogance, says, after everything we've discussed about male privilege and active allyship, I am making a selfish stand, paces in front of the screen, flinging her arms everywhere, says, my refusal proves exactly why. The initiative is necessary, says this is toxic behavior, says I refuse to acknowledge privilege, says I cannot do the bare minimum to support women on my team. Woman is full volume now, face red, voice cracking, rest of the room, goes statue mode, nobody looking at her, nobody looking at me, everybody staring at, not getting involved. Then she points at me and says, we are going to address this right now, says I owe the team an explanation for why. I think I am above participation, says I should explain my misogyny to every person in the room, standing there waiting for me to blow up, wanted anger, wanted something she could package as proof. Wanted the crazy hostile man she'd been rehearsing in her head for months. Weird thing was, I didn't feel hot anymore. All the heat was gone, just left something cold and steady. Looked around the room, people avoiding eye contact, Monica watching me with that tense expression. Like she knows whatever happens next, matters Carl. From systems sitting there like carved stone, figured they deserved the truth, not Sierra them. So I push my chair back and stand up. If she wants the explanation. She can get the whole thing, tell her, fine, you want an explanation? Here's one. Say this is not the first company where I've seen management sell a progressive initiative as professional morality. About 6 years earlier, I worked at another firm, younger than, more trusting, still dumb enough to believe good intentions, protected you. Had a manager there named Leah, same style as Sierra. All slogans, all ideology, all speeches about correcting imbalance in tech. She was obsessed with the idea that senior men needed to sponsor junior women, then company hired a junior developer. Call her Rachel Smart Kid, ambitious, definitely talented, but struggling with the harder parts of the code base. Leah made a huge deal about senior male staff. Investing in female growth wasn't officially mandatory. Just one of those mandatory things nobody writes down. I bought into it completely, thought helping her was the right thing to do, so I volunteered for the next year. I poured ridiculous amounts of time into. Rachel stayed late multiple nights a week, walking her through service architecture, spent lunches drawing diagrams and explaining data flows, answered Sunday calls when she got lost in debugging shared internal tools and little code libraries I had built over years, taught shortcuts, patterns, instincts, all the stuff you only learn by suffering through enough bad releases, gave her the best version of my professional brain. She absorbed. Everything got sharper. Fast management started praising her constantly. Leah used her as Exhibit A for what happens when men become allies. And honestly, I was happy for her. Her success felt connected to mine. At the same time, I was leading the biggest project in the company. Complete rebuild of our core platform, back-end, hardest system. I had ever designed my shot at becoming lead architect, worked on it over a year, 60-hour weeks, endless planning. Every major design decision running through me, Rachel was on the project team in a junior role. I used the whole thing as a teaching opportunity. Explained not just what we were building, but why I walked her through trade-offs, architecture, failure points, deployment logic, all of it. Then final presentation day arrived, executive board, go or no. Go for launch, career-making moment. Meeting was at 10 o'clock. I came in at 7 o'clock to prep, because I cared that much. 9:30, Leah calls me into her office. Rachel is already in there looking nervous. Leah has that grave HR face people wear when they already decided. Your role in the story tells me there is concern about ownership of the project. Says Rachel came to her the night before, worried I planned to take sole credit for what she described as deeply collaborative design work. I am stunned, tell Leah. I led the project, built the architecture, and of course I would credit everybody for contributions, but leadership and design were mine because I actually did them. Then Rachel starts speaking, and she uses everything I taught her, all the terminology, all the trade-off language, all the architecture. Reasoning describes the system in a way that sounds completely authoritative, because I trained her to sound that way. Leah listens and then says, to avoid interpersonal tension, she thinks Rachel should present to the board instead of me. I protest. Tell her this is literally my project. Then the trap springs shut. Rachel tears up, says she feels intimidated by me, says my aggressive leadership style kept her from speaking openly, says she worried I would retaliate if she asked for her fair share of recognition. Leah gives me that disappointed expression managers use when they want you to know they are protecting virtue, says she has to take that seriously, says company has zero tolerance for intimidation, says it is her job to protect women on her team, never asked to see commit history, never checked design, docs, never cared about facts. Story was already neat enough for her. Senior male suppresses rising female talent. I got ordered to sit in the back during the presentation and speak only if they asked, sat there and watched Rachel present. My slides, my architecture, my work, to executives' room, loved it board, ate it up. She got a standing ovation and a promotion. I got removed from the project. Formal complaint dropped into my HR file for aggressive behavior and failure to support collaboration. Promotions disappeared overnight. Reputation, they're never recovered. Spent a year mentoring somebody in good faith. Gave her time, knowledge, trust, opportunity, and she used the whole system built to protect her as a weapon to strip me for parts, my project, my promotion, my credibility gone, tell the room, all of that slowly. No yelling, no drama, just facts laid out where everybody can hear them. Then I turn back to Sierra, tell her she stands there talking about allyship and doing the work. Tell her I already did the work, once did it exactly the way people like her demand. And I got punished for it. Say the system she treats like a shield. For the deserving, became a sword against somebody who actually meant, well, tell her. I learned my lesson. Never put yourself in a position where kindness can be turned into evidence. Never trust a process that values ideology more than truth. And never do free labor for people who see you as a demographic tool instead of a colleague. Look down at the paper on the table. Tell her that's why I will not sign. I will not be her ally. I will not join her program. I will do the job I am paid to do, and not 1 inch more. Then I sit down. Silence after that. Feels physical. Nobody moving, nobody breathing loud. Sierra just stands there, frozen, all the righteous fury drained out of her face. She expected a fight, expected anger. She could manage, did not expect calm testimony that gutted her whole moral script in front of the department. First person to speak is Monica. Quiet voice says, "Nate, I'm sorry that happened to you." Simple sentence lands like a hammer. Then one of the other senior guys mutters, "Yeah, that's brutal." Sierra scans the room, looking for backup, finds absolutely none. Nobody meeting her eyes, nobody rescuing her. She had finally overplayed the performance mumbles. Something about taking in the feedback and ends. The meeting basically runs out of the room. Nobody celebrates after she leaves, no jokes, no applause. No dramatic release, just a minute of stunned silence. Then everybody gets up and walks out looking like they survived a car crash next morning. I come in, assuming HR is going to fire me, publicly. Humiliating a director usually doesn't end with cake spend. First half of the day updating resume and pulling personal files off my work machine around 11. The email arrives, confidential meeting, head of HR, plus division, VP, stomach drops, straight through the floor. Figure that's it. Walk to executive floor, feeling like a man heading to sentencing conference room, is polished wood and expensive silence. VP is in his 60s, looks like he was manufactured in a boardroom. HR director is there too. Woman I've maybe seen 3 times in my life. They tell me to sit. I brace for the speech, doesn't come. HR director starts with totally neutral voice, says, "They received multiple reports about yesterday's meeting. Says several employees submitted anonymous complaints about the proposed mentorship initiative. Plural complaints. Not just me." Then VP leans forward and gets blunt, says what Sierra proposed was not an approved corporate program. Says she invented it herself and never cleared it with HR or legal. Then he says something beautiful, forcing one sex to perform unpaid labor for the benefit of the other is not culture, it's lawsuit. Bates says if that policy existed on paper, the company would get shredded for discrimination, suddenly realize they are not mad at me. They are mad at her for creating legal risk. HR director says they have also been reviewing Sierra's performance project, delays morale, drop pattern of complaints, says her management style is not a fit for the department or the company's risk tolerance translation. They are building the file. My speech was not the whole case, just the spark that finally forced the issue into daylight. VP tells me they value my technical work and want me to stay. Says initiative is canceled, effective immediately, meeting ends. A few minutes later, walk back to my desk, in kind of a haze, not fired. Somehow, one justice came fast, and very corporate. About a week later, company email announces exciting organizational changes. Sierra is being moved into a new strategic role around internal culture. Research or some other fake title cemetery office transferred to another building. Tiny windowless room that used to store supplies. No team, no direct reports, no power, just reports. Nobody will read, and meetings nobody will schedule. They didn't fire her because that would create a clean victim narrative. Instead, they buried her in administrative permafrost, paid exile. Meanwhile, Ron gets coaxed out of retirement on a temporary contract while they search for a real replacement. First thing he does is kill the morning, feeling circles. Second thing he does is have the walls repainted into normal adult colors. Posters disappear. Fake energy evaporates almost overnight. People start talking like human beings again. Laughter comes back. Productivity climbs back where it used to be. Office feels like oxygen returned. Nobody ever mentions Sierra. Directly after that, whole department treats it like a bad season. Everyone agreed not to rewatch, but something definitely changed. Team looks at me differently after that. Not hero worship, not drama, just quiet respect. I said the thing nobody else was willing to say while the cost was still real. Few nights. After Ron comes back, I'm working late at my desk. Monica walks over carrying 2 coffee sets. One down next to me without a word. I tell her, "Thanks." She gives me a small, real smile and says, anytime. Then she heads back to her station and keeps working. Tiny gesture meant more than any fake award or leadership badge ever could. Took a sip. look back at the code on my monitor. Peace was finally back, and this time I got to keep my dignity with it.